Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back. You're not going to include my pool story?
I'm going to put it at the end of the episode as a blooper.
Perfect.
Because that's what I do with most of your stuff.
That's what I'm here for. I'm the talent.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are back. I've had some chips and some Oreo cookies.
I also had some chips and some
So my energy
Reese's.
is up. I lose my energy really fast if I'm not eating, which is how I got to be in this body.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Margaret.
There you go. That's all three of us.
Jeff, Margaret, and
Has been playing video games since before they were invented. Has been around for a very long time.
yeah.
My favorite one is Caveman Games.
God, I remember that one.
I actually do like that one.
We are here today to talk about Star Ocean 2.
Star Ocean 2. I love Star Ocean 2.
Star Ocean, the second story.
The second story.
I think
Yes.
you'll find.
The second departure R.
Second Evolution and Second Evolution R.
Star Ocean 2.
And the second story R. I don't think there's actually a second Evolution R. There's the second story R.
I will say for this review, I did play what was then fairly recent re-release, and that's going to color a lot of what I say in the review.
It's so funny how it's only somewhat recent, but I haven't even opened mine yet.
Re-release like the HD 2D thing that they did.
Yes,
on the Switch.
the most recent remake.
I mean, I've played all of them. So
Well, let's go ahead and jump into personal history because I don't want this to be another 2-hour episode.
Nothing personnel.
My personal history with Star Ocean 2 is almost identical to my personal history with Star Ocean 1. One day I went to Russ's apartment, and he was like, here's my PSP. Here's all my PSP games. They are yours now. And Star Ocean 1 and 2 were there.
Yeah, they were
and
there.
I played them, and I liked them, and I never looked back. My friend Jessica, who was planning to call in and be a part of this review, but life happens to all of us, it is one of her favorite games of all times. She loves this game
it's
so much.
It's a great game. It's worthy of being a favorite game of all time.
Jessica is also the person who gave this podcast its name because she is very handy with wordplay.
Oh, fun.
And when I needed a name for a review show in which some Texans talk about JRPGs, she went, well, obviously it's Home on the RNG.
Cute.
Didn't even hesitate. Anyway, so I don't have a lot of personal history, so I will say it was released in 1998, developed by Tri-Ace, and was the first Star Ocean game released outside of Japan. Mm-hmm. Russ, what have you got?
I played this back on the PS1 because I got my PS1 after I got my first job in high school, and then I just wanted to play all the RPGs. So I played Final Fantasy, obviously, but I started just buying a lot of JRPGs sight unseen, and then hoping for the best. And this was a good one.
And usually
this
got
was
it.
One of the good ones.
There's not a lot of terrible ones.
No, there's really
there are
not.
some.
Yeah.
We've
There's just
met
ones
them.
that are better than others, but this is really up there as a good one.
Yeah, spoiler, it's a really good game.
Yeah.
Chris?
Okay, so I had the benefit of playing this one pretty organically as soon as it came out on the PlayStation. I want to say it's the second RPG I played after Final Fantasy VII. After finally finishing that one, I think I played Final Fantasy Tactics and then this one. So it was pretty early on in my post 16-bit RPGing. I did play all the way through this one, and 1.5 times, I'm going to say, because I tried to go through a second time and get all different characters, but without Ashton, it just seemed, I lost all hope and abandoned.
Yeah. I think I played Final Fantasy VII. When I bought my PlayStation, I think I played Final Fantasy VII, then Wild Arms.
See, I missed Wild Arms. See,
Then this. I think that was like the first 3.
I didn't get a PlayStation 1 until Final Fantasy VIII had already come out, and then I bought 7 and 8 and Tactics, I think, and played those.
Yeah, I was one of the many who of the early RPG fans who bought a PlayStation for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I've done that. I bought 3 PlayStations while they were still new in order to play a Final Fantasy game on them, and this is the second time I bought a system to play Final Fantasy VII specifically, because that's why I bought a PS5. So
let's go ahead and move on to story and characters. Because this episode doesn't need to be 2 hours long.
I would like it to be, though. I love this game. And I've
Star
had my
Ocean,
cookie.
the second hour.
Yeah.
Normally, I try to wrap these up in like a sentence, and apparently I felt this game needed a little more room to breathe.
There's a bit of story in this game.
Yeah.
When the impetuous son of legendary hero Ronix Kinney ignores orders on his first away mission and gets too close to a mysterious machine, he finds himself transported from his sci-fi setting to a mysterious fantasy setting. In this new setting, he finds himself fitting the role of the prophesied hero who is supposed to save the world from a great evil from beyond the stars.
Because he's wearing space clothes and because the local population mistakes his gun for a sword
Yeah.
of
He's got
light.
a phaser.
You have a sword of light.
Yeah.
A sword of light.
I kind of love the, it's borderline isekai, but I do love when, somebody's a legendary hero because of just pure mistake.
Yeah.
Because somebody doesn't understand a gun when they see it.
Right. And the coolest thing about that introduction story is that you can also play it from the girl's perspective.
Yep, I have that in here. You can play the game. You can play as Claude, which is Ronix's son from the first story. And real quick, I love that. I love that because not all JRPGs are tied together in a series, right? It's really cool to be like, I went on this adventure with Ronix. Like, Ronix is my bud. We've been through stuff together.
Unless you're an American in actual 1998, in which case you don't even care who he is.
But then, I came to appreciate it after I played like the second Evolution version on the PSP, not because of Ronix, but because of Elia. Elia is his mother.
Yes.
And he is exactly like her.
Elia, yeah.
I love that her victory quotes in the first game are like, that was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then he says the same thing.
Yes,
he is
very
100% his mother.
I played First Departure that's actually the next game I played after Star Ocean's second story, because I dropped off the series, and I immediately tagged Elia as, that's gotta be Claude's mother.
I like
Claude's
the
mother.
time jump. I like that Ronix is now one of the most successful heroes. It gives you a real solid tie to the first game, but you're completely free to tell a brand new story with his son. It's very well done. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, Ronix is very much Sir not appearing in this film.
Yeah.
You can play as Claude or as Reyna, the mysterious healer of the mysterious fantasy planet. I played as Claude. Russ, who I didn't consult with, obviously played as Reyna.
Yeah. I mean, I've played this game many times, and I've played both, but I do prefer Reyna, obviously.
I played both, but Reyna's was the one that I abandoned halfway through.
Yeah.
I have a 3-pound dog very gently pawing my foot, begging to be picked up, and it's just adorable. Anyway.
And that's a great thing that happens in Star Ocean, too.
It was so cute. So this is one of those games like Wild Arms 1 or Final Fantasy VI, where when you think you're approaching the end of the story, suddenly there's a big plot twist, and it turns out you're only halfway there. But even with that, it's only about 30 hours to beat this game, which is surprising considering the amount of story that's in it, the amount of content.
Yeah. There's a large amount of content that is optional. So much of this game is picking your own path, but characters first.
Yeah.
I love that this game, you are really distracted by the dog. Zoe's not that cute. I don't know what you're doing.
I was petting Penny just then. I'm letting you talk. Why don't you talk?
Okay. Well, I was getting distracted.
Oh, my goodness.
So love, one of the reasons this game is so great is because of all the characters and the customization of your party. Mm-hmm. The only 2 required characters in your party in this game are Claude and Reyna, the 2 main characters, and then you pick your party among several others, 10, 11.
Are you saying, like, optional in as in recruitable or in your party, like your active party?
Like recruitable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can, like, here's what I realized is that the first character that Claude and Reyna meet early in the game is Celine.
Love Celine.
And she says, hey, you want to take this map and you want to go explore this cave? And you can say no. And then she just walks away.
Yeah, I went into this game.
You can you can finish the game with Claude and Reyna, period.
I went into the game blind. I played it once before, but it's been so long I couldn't remember most of it. As soon as I met Ashton, I remembered everything about Ashton.
Ashton.
We love Ashton.
But I went into it blind, and I decided I wasn't going to look up guides on, like, best party or what character. I was just going to recruit whatever characters I thought were fun and interesting, and I wouldn't recruit the ones I didn't think were fun and interesting, and I did not end up with a full party.
Yeah.
I missed the one character that is specific for Claude, because each of them has one character that's only recruitable by them.
Well,
and
he's a
yeah,
little asshole.
Yeah, we don't need.
So we don't need
that guy.
Leon.
But then I also missed the last recruitable character, who's kind of there in case you have a gap in your party, but the game doesn't tell you that.
Yeah.
The animal wrangler near the end, the zookeeper.
Not Chisato. Did you get Chisato?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I still had an opening in my party, and it should have been filled by the zookeeper, but I didn't realize that was my last shot, so I finished it with a party of 7.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Yeah.
But yes, Chisato, the kung fu journalist.
I
recruited her.
I love all the characters in this game except Leon.
Yeah. I got the inventor with the robot arms coming out of her backpack.
Priestess.
Yeah.
Welch, who fell from the sky.
Yeah. She's added to the... She retroactively was added. Welch was a character in Star Ocean 3. She was retroactively added.
Same with First Departure, yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, the girl with the heart-shaped tattoo that you already talked about, or the heart-shaped birthmark.
Celine the treasure hunter who uses magic.
And Ashton, who is bonded with 2 dragon heads called Creepy and Weepy coming out of his shoulder.
What I love about Ashton is that he's a loser.
Yeah.
And then he fights a giant dragon and he gets cursed and the 2 dragon heads come out of his back. And
are there names ever revealed in the PlayStation version or just in?
Yeah, but it's Gyoro and Ururun. It's the Japanese names of them, but they're called Creepy and Weepy in the
amazing
new version. The dogs are fighting. Anyway,
Russ, focus.
Ooh, this is why TikTok has told me that I have ADHD and autism. So, Creepy and Weepy, Ashton is great. In my playthrough that I did this time, I did not get Ashton. I got Opera and Ernest.
Yeah, that's who I got in my second.
I also like.
See, I don't even think I met Opera.
No.
You don't meet her unless you intentionally kick Ashton the tiny puppy to the curb.
Yeah. You get to meet Ernest. Ernest shows there's like a 3-eyed man in the first big city you get to, and that's Ernest. But then you have to that's what I like too. You have to do some digging to find these characters. Like you specifically have to have kicked out Ashton, and then after
impossible.
Yeah.
Challenge level impossible.
And then after that, you have to like go to a bar in a specific town at a specific time where you will meet Opera, and then you have to follow her back to the previous continent that you have already left.
And I knew about her because she's in the instruction book. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't tell you how to recruit her.
And she's from another planet where everybody has 3 eyes. So she and her lover Ernest have 3 eyes. She's actually, I didn't realize this when I played the original PlayStation version, but she's like obsessed with Ernest.
Oh.
She's actually kind of Delulu.
Oh dear.
And like
that would work if Ernest was out of the picture. Then it could be a Prim situation.
Yeah,
a Prim syndrome.
Right. But
have you met my boyfriend Ernest? He's the coolest person ever.
Yeah, and then you meet him and he's like a jerk and attacks your party and you have to kill him or something. And she's like, well, I'll try and be normal now. Like that's the Prim syndrome.
Yep. And I think my favorite character is Bowman, who is the
I was about to
Pharmacist.
mention Bowman.
there's the Kung Fu journalist, and then there's also the Kung Fu pharmacist.
Go to heaven.
Bowman is the Kung Fu pharmacist. He's the old man of the party. He's 27.
Yeah. Impossibly old.
Impossibly old.
So old.
World worn. But he is my favorite. He's the fisticuffs character. I always like to control the martial artist character in a game. He's my favorite character to play as. Yeah.
And I will say this because I talked
And he's
about
a pharmacist
Yes.
that does kung fu.
in the first game. I made a big deal about oh, it's a sci-fi set. No, it's all a fantasy setting. This one kind of psychs you out again because it's sci-fi. Oh no, we're back to fantasy, and then that halfway mark hits, and it's no, we're going back to sci-fi.
It is actually sci-fi.
It's full on
Yeah.
sci-fi again. So that's pretty cool.
And Diaz. I just have to mention Diaz. Diaz is the reason that I like to play as Reyna. Because Diaz
Yeah,
is
he's her sole
it's-
recruitable.
is the exclusive character to her, and he is the stoic, sexy swordsman.
Yeah.
with
and
a
it's
troubled
very
past.
and it's very funny that you never get him because Claude is so jealous of him if you
Yes.
play as Claude, and instead you get the stand-in Leon.
Right. So you say that, and I'm glad you said that, because another thing I love about this game is that if you play as Claude, I'll say it like this: if you play as Reyna, Claude is like a big loser.
Oh yeah.
And Claude is like, I know Reyna and Celine throughout that whole first part of the game are just like, can we ditch him? Can we just like go off on our own? Like, he's really dragging us down. And I
But
don't know.
he's the hero of
I
light.
just
And he's a space alien.
I just
to them.
enjoy that. Where it's like, yeah.
Yeah. It is very funny to play as Claude and be like, oh. And then, like, it definitely made me want to play it through as Reyna. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy.
It is. That's why I like it. It's the same thing as Persona 3, where when you can play as the female protagonist in
Yeah.
the PSP version. It's interesting how you see the characters
And then you
from
can flirt with the little boy.
a different perspective. Yeah, you can flirt with a little boy.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I do enjoy that as a contrast to Roddick, who everybody loves and adores.
Yeah.
In the first game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, everybody's like, let's just leave Claude here.
Let's go ahead and move into combat system.
here's Mr. Enemy.
It's largely the same as the first game. You are transported to the combat screen. You control one character in the party at a time in an action-oriented combat. They do add a dodge mechanic and the ability to break enemies' guards.
In the most modern remake of it.
Again, I played
that's-
the
yeah.
most modern version,
Yeah.
and that's where my freshest memories and my notes come from.
Well, I know. I'm just telling the listeners.
Sure.
That if you play the original PlayStation version or even the PSP version, they do not have that fancy stuff.
Yeah.
You just attack. The PSP version added the 3-hit combo, right? In the original, it's one hit.
I'm trying to remember, but
I think.
I'm not reliable on that.
And then the PSP version added a 3-hit combo.
There's also an orb mechanic.
Added to the most modern version, yeah.
Defeating enemies or breaking their guards give you orbs, and the orbs build up over time and give you combat bonuses. These combat bonuses differ depending on what formation you're using. The different formations use the orbs to do... and it's things like plus 10% critical damage,
Yeah.
or, everybody's 50% faster,
Yeah.
or things like that. And earn more experience, earn more money. But if you let the enemy, if you screw up a dodge attack or get back attacked by an enemy, all your orbs disappear and you have to start again. There are 3 levels of skills that you build up to. So it's always super disappointing when you lose
Because the first
those
one is
abilities.
like increased attack level 1, and then increased defense level 2, and then increased evasion or hit rate or something.
Of course, I
level
just went
3.
for increased experience once that became an option.
I use the one that gives you super armor, that because you're just like nothing can touch you.
You also gain a small amount of skill and battle points for every battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, like the last one, you get a large amount of them anytime you level up.
Yeah.
All the enemy encounters are visible, which they weren't in the most recent version of the last one.
No.
Or the original.
Or the original. Yeah.
All the enemies are represented as just like mysterious clouds with eyes, but they're color-coded to difficulty. So, like, ooh, let me go beat up this green cloud. It'll be real easy. Maybe I stay away from that red one. That one's scary.
That's
And in the most recent patch update, you can actually just run around and slash the green clouds on the field and then just gain the experience
Nice.
as you run around the field.
So when my characters
Earthbound auto win.
learned the bodyguard ability, that was so cool because then once you get a little over leveled, enough that the monsters you're facing are green, you'll pretty much stay over leveled for the whole game because you get the bodyguard ability and the characters will just run out in front of you and one hit kill the entire encounter before it starts and you get full experience.
Yeah.
What the bodyguard ability is supposed to be is if you're on par with them, they rush out and engage the enemy, locking it in place so you can run behind it and get a surprise attack. Because it works like Earthbound. You see them on the field. If you attack them from behind, you get an advantage. They attack you from behind, they get an advantage. The bodyguard feat is supposed to let your party help you to get advantage. But if you're stronger than the enemies, they just one-shot them. And I would just run through dungeons multiple times, letting them run in one-shot. As open-ended as this game is, though, the color coding system is very helpful because you walk into a dungeon and all the enemies are red, and you're like, I have chosen poorly.
It's not time for this yet.
I'll come back later.
Yeah.
You guys have fun.
Did you fight the red enemy that you can randomly encounter in the forest at the very beginning of the game?
I did not.
Yeah.
There's also super enemies scattered throughout the world. I didn't even bother fighting them. But
Oh, they're fun. They're like unique.
Also, multiple enemies can chain together. And it shows you like a little line appears between them if they're close enough and they're all aware of you. Then you get a series of attacks, and each battle gives you proportionally more XP. I think you can chain up to 5 of them at once.
You can. And I'm just, as you're saying all of this, I'm just realizing how you should really play the HD 2D remake because these are all quality of life improvements in the most recent version.
How about this one? And I love when games do this. The dungeon has a set number of encounters in it. You walk into the dungeon, all the enemies that are in the dungeon already exist, and when you kill them, they don't respawn. I love this because, A, it makes me feel like, okay, so all the grinding I need to do is just clear out this dungeon, right? I don't need to come in and out multiple times. The dogs are really loud. I don't need to come in and out multiple times. As long as I just clear every dungeon, then I feel fine for grinding.
Yeah.
But also, I like to explore all the nooks and crannies of a dungeon and find all the treasure chests.
Yeah.
And if you can clear out all the enemies, then you can do that comfortably. Zoe! Ma'am!
This is our best episode yet.
We are in the middle of something.
No, I do. Yes, I do really like that. I really like. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. You can also reset. You know how to reset them?
If you leave and come back.
You don't even have to leave and come back. You just have to warp to a save point, even if it's right there. You just have to go into the fast travel system and go to a save point, and then they all come back. But yes, you can explore the whole dungeon and not have to worry about random encounter after random encounter.
They also added a summoning system in this new version, where you can find crystals that allow you to summon characters from other Star Ocean games, most of which I don't know because I've only played the first 2.
Wow.
You can equip up to 4 summons at a time. They don't cost anything to summon, but after summoning, you have to perform a number of attacks before that one can be summoned again. Also, you can assign party members that aren't in your main party to the summon slots.
Yeah, that's what makes the other party members useful, even as you get a party of 8, and you, if you're me, kind of pick your 4 favorites and just use them all the time.
Yeah.
The other characters still have utility.
So I all of that was pretty cool. I enjoyed the
fishing.
combat system more than. Well, we're in combat.
Oh, we're in combat. Okay, sorry. I can't keep track.
I like the combat system more than the first game. The first game felt a little simplistic. This one feels like it's got a little bit more meat on it.
Well, if you want the simplistic, just play the original PlayStation version.
Which I
or
prefer.
The PSP version.
Well, I don't know about prefer because I haven't played the newest version, but I really, really like the battle system in the original.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to talk about fishing, we can talk about innovation.
Innovation.
Inefficients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fishing was
Fish
new
ovations.
in this game. The fisher girl that you can trade your fish to for different items. She was an original character created for this.
I have really come to love fishing minigames in JRPGs. I like them a lot. I'm playing Infinite Wealth right now. It has a fishing minigame that's kind of bleh, but I still enjoy it.
Yeah, this is literally just hitting the A button, but
But that's most of the crafting and
Yes,
things like that in this
exactly.
game.
So, because I did play this new 2D HD, I want to say the game is gorgeous, right?
It is
Full
beautiful.
HD
The original is
background.
great, yeah.
it was yes, the original
Very
was
pretty.
beautiful. And what I like about that HD 2D version is that they clearly used the look of the original.
Oh, yeah.
and just made all of that into 3D.
It's
Nice.
full HD
Yeah.
backgrounds, but the characters still look like 16-bit sprites.
Yes, they're still sprites.
Which actually turns out to be a very charming look. I thought there might be like a clash, but it works really well.
They added. I like this too. They really put work into it. They added a bunch of sprites. So there's new animations for all of the characters. There's an idle animation.
Yeah.
The game is 8 directional or 16 directional instead of 8 directional now or something. And so
Yeah,
there's
'cause
other sprites for that.
The original game didn't have a whole lot of variety
No.
on the sprites themselves.
Also, when you look at the status screens for any of the characters, you can cycle through their portraits from older versions
Yeah.
of the game, and you can see the evolution of the art style, which is neat.
Yeah, you
There's-
could do that in first departure R2, right? I think
You could choose what they did is in the Switch version of First Departure, you could choose the PSP character portraits or the new ones that they created.
but not the SNES original because they
But
didn't
not
exist.
the SNES original because they didn't exist. Yeah.
Or they kind of did, but it's different.
Yeah.
There's always been a lot of debate about what a remake of Chrono Trigger should look like, and I just want to put my money down on this.
Yeah. Well,
This is
my
what I think it should look like.
theory is that's what they're doing. They're doing all these HD 2D things and seeing how people react to them, and then they're leading up to a Chrono Trigger. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be doing something with it because otherwise we'd have had it by now.
Yeah.
Easy.
They're
easy money
they're
grab.
waiting until they feel like they're at the
They've perfected it.
correct level of skill with it.
In this game, you no longer purchase the skills, you just start out with access to all of them. And instead, the skill guilds exist to give you quests that encourage you to use these skills.
I liked that.
And the skills have been split between battle skills and item creation skills, and you acquire separate points for both. So you don't have to worry on making a character more martial than item creation because every character can easily be both. There's a friendship meter with your party members that goes up after you complete personal actions. And also, personal actions are a lot easier to find and do in this version because in the first one, at least in the version I played, you could only do personal actions if before you go into a town, you go into solo mode, then you go into the town, and then you kind of look around. In this one, at any point in town, you can just go solo action.
Yep.
And wherever possible personal actions are, show up on your map, and you can just walk over to them.
Yeah, that's new because the original you would do private action.
Exactly.
Like,
Although
you had to,
I had one that showed up on the map that I was never able to trigger. I don't know.
Mysterious.
Yeah. I tried multiple times.
Where was it? What town? Do you know?
Oh, God, it was in a port city.
Maybe it requires a character you didn't have.
But it was the only one I encountered like that, and if that were the case, I should have seen a lot more of them. So
Yeah.
I was missing some trigger for one personal event that I couldn't. It was very strange. There is a full quick travel ability that doesn't require you to have a specific character and perform a specific mini quest with them to unlock the giant rabbit.
That is true. Yeah.
You
As
can-
if you would reject Perici for any reason.
No, I wouldn't. But
Well, I did. So
you can quick travel
I'm
to
the
any
problem.
town or dungeon you've visited previously.
again, all new quality of life things.
Yeah.
And on the quick travel menu, it even tells you there, hey, there's personal actions in
Yeah.
this town that you could go see. You can still get the giant bunny by using the skills, and it lets you find, it lets you ignore terrain and
You
like,
can get to treasure chests you can't get to
Yes.
otherwise on the
you get to explore the tops of mountains and all sorts of things.
Gold chocobo style.
Yeah.
Gold bunny.
Gold bunny.
And it doesn't even have to be gold, it's just pink.
Yeah. The gold is inside.
Mm-hmm.
It's heart.
It's in our heart.
A couple episodes ago, we talked about one of my biggest pet peeves with games is when I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, when I have no clue.
There's no way that you ever experienced that in this game.
No. And first of all, when I complain about that, I'm not saying that I need what this game offers, although I love what this game offers, which is there is always a mark on your map that tells you where to go next.
Respect of your time. Yeah.
You always know where to advance the story next. Infinite Wealth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth also has that. I am happy as long as there are NPCs that give you clear direction. Like, gosh, I wonder what's going on in that town to the northeast. Cool. Now I know I need to go to the town in the northeast. Like, that's my minimum. That's what I need. That's what Romancing Saga 2 did not give you after a short bit in the beginning. But yeah, just you always know where your next objective is at all times, and I really like that. And then I have one last innovation I really liked, and Russ is going to say something, I'm sure.
I can't wait.
He's going to come for me.
Margaret said that.
It's very small but very noticeable. If you're like me, I read fast. And so frequently when I'm playing games, I am mashing through the dialogue as fast as I can read it, which is significantly faster than like sometimes if there's voice acting, I will sit back and enjoy the voice acting, but largely I am sitting there mashing through the button reading, and that can get you in trouble sometimes in games because all of a sudden a dialogue prompt comes up and you've selected something before you meant to because you've been hitting In this game, there is no default option to any dialogue option. When the dialogue option pops up, nothing is selected, and hitting the button does nothing until you hit up or down to select an option.
That's good.
It saves people like me from accidentally picking something, and what a tiny little thing to change, and it's so helpful.
I'm not going to say anything about that because, I mean, I know that I have like criticized you before for like not listening to all the dialogue, but the reason I'm okay with that is because I replay Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 so much, but I do just kind of mash through the dialogue. But there are like yes, no options that I don't know how many times I've like accidentally seen the how to use jobs tutorial in Final Fantasy 5 because I'm just mashing A and then it defaults to yes, and I don't remember I have to mash B.
See what a
so that
cool
is a
feature
good,
this is?
Yeah, that is actually a very cool feature. I agree with you on that. And I'm like, I know how to use the job in this game. Thank you. This is only my 40th playthrough.
That's all I have for innovations. Do you guys have anything that you want to talk about?
I mean, just the crafting system. I just think that's
Sure.
a
Yeah.
good crafting
I mean,
system.
And what I like about the crafting system is that there's also like a cooking contest that you can participate in, which is great. It actually gives you more to do than just make items. Although
Yeah.
items are great.
Yeah.
Like the first game, the crafting system can be used to break the game.
Oh, yes. Any game. I think that's why I like this game so much. Any game that you can really break the mechanics of, I'm just totally on board with.
I mean,
Oh,
once
yeah.
I learned the bodyguard skill, that was awesome.
Yeah, I like I like the crafting in this game. I say as like I've played several of the Atelier games, and like the point of those is item creation, and I don't really care about it in those games, but I enjoy it in here.
I'm going to say, just as an innovation, at the time of 1998, we really didn't have a lot of RPGs that had voice acting in them, especially interspersed throughout the game rather than in just cutscenes. Mm-hmm. Even though it does have some CGI cutscenes, it's still, it's very endearing to have a game that actually kind of talked to you throughout, like in battles and everything like that.
Yeah.
Even though it would put things in your head forever, like Southern Cross.
Yes.
Or,
this is during the era that everybody was really excited about all these 3D graphics, and so the spells were like going into outer space and watching the meteorite fall towards the earth.
Yeah.
Every time you cast a spell.
Yeah, the summons in 7 and 8.
And what I remember about the voice acting too is that some of it was still in Japanese.
Some of it was, yeah.
Because I always say tractor beam.
Yeah.
When Reina uses her tractor beam spell, she says tractor beam.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I think I've decided what I really like.
Actually, cut that out. That was probably pretty offensive. So don't put that in there.
Well,
I'll think about it. I think what I've decided that I like from video games is when it's a mix of voice acted and not. Again, I've mentioned Infinite Wealth a couple of times now, but it's a game I'm playing right now, and it has a lot of exposition scenes with full voice acting and everything, and I just sit the controller down and I watch those sequences play out, even though I can skip the dialogue. But then good chunks of the game have no voice acting, and I can speed read through them, and I find that mix to be very pleasant because I can speed through some parts and then I can sit down and enjoy. If it's all voice acting, eventually I get bored and I need it to move faster. I read faster than this. Please speed up.
Yeah.
Trails does that. I'm sure it's just because they don't have the money to voice act everything.
I love the fast forward button in TikTok. Almost everything I listen to is in double speed.
Yeah. I will say, as much as I love the 21-hour-long movie that is Final Fantasy Rebirth, or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, when I'm talking to NPCs, I'm just like, I wish I was just reading this.
Yeah.
And I just kind of skip them. Like, sorry. I mean,
I don't know. I don't care about what people have to say.
I appreciate that they sprung for a voice actor for this guy, this random guy, but I don't need him to.
So, yeah, that makes.
I don't need you to tell me how to make the Cosmo Canyon.
That's an 8 out of 10.
In exchange for a card. I do like the 8 out of 10 and the 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. I say that at work a lot.
And everybody's just like, it's Russ.
Yeah.
Honestly,
like,
that's Margaret. What a weirdo.
I will say the thing that I do appreciate about Claude, just going back to characters for a second, is that now that I have thoroughly played through First Departure R, I appreciate that he is a perfect mix of Ronix and Ilia.
Right.
He is.
In that he's kind of a loser, but also kind of charming. And straightforward, because, Ilia is very straightforward. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they both are. They're kind of both drips, honestly. But Ilia is a way better.
That's so true. That is very true.
Yeah, they're both kind of matter-of-factly and a little straight-laced, but Ilia is way more of a better character than Ronix.
I just find it. Yeah, I love that Claude is such a loser. And they do not hold back about that. And then if you play as Claude and did you do this? And you play as Claude and you get all the women in your party.
I did not.
Then you can get like a special cutscene in the Fun City where they're all just sitting around a table being like, this guy.
Yeah, I did get that in First Departure because I got all the maximum amount of female characters.
And it's the opposite of Trails of Cold Steel and Reen.
Yes.
Where like 14 women just sit around talking about how they want his body.
Oh, geez.
And then this is like all the women being like, let's just like leave him here.
I had one other fun memory of this game before we move on to music. Provided you guys are out of innovations. Because
always.
Right before the second half of the game where it goes hard sci-fi, you are back on your dad's ship briefly. And while you're there, you can start pickpocketing your future pals, or your pals from the future. There is a piece of body armor that one person is wearing that vastly outstrips everything else in the game. and if you steal it and put it on, Claude is basically invincible for the rest of the game. It's awesome.
You can get 4.
Oh,
Claude,
I just found one.
Pickpocketing, yeah, you have to have earnest. There's certain requirements for it because you literally have to pickpocket your own party members during private actions. And yeah, but you can get 4. But pickpocketing also makes sure your other party members dislike you. So.
Which is very funny that they acknowledge that you're stealing from them,
from everybody,
even if it's badass equipment that they don't otherwise have.
Yeah. And I'm like, Ernest is not wearing this battle suit. He's just carrying it for some reason.
Just in case.
Yeah, I like it.
So, are we good to move?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on to music.
Okay. Well, once again, I am finding myself with not a whole lot to say, only because it's like... So, I've mentioned this before. I think even my very first music review here was talking about Motoi Sakuraba, who is the composer for this game, composer for all the Star Oceans, most of the Tales games, just... all the Golden Sun games, like just so many RPGs, all the Baten Kaitos games.
Love the Baten Kaitos.
Yeah, those are great. So Motoi Sakuraba is if you're into video game music, he's one of the first names you should know because he is responsible for so many amazing RPG soundtracks, and then also some amazing soundtracks that aren't RPGs, like Ernest Evans and El Viento and... let's see, what's another one? Mario Golf, of course, or Mario Tennis, rather.
I was going to say Mario Golf, one of the best RPGs.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I guess Mario Golf is one of them too. But some of the Mario sports games he did with Camelot, basically, when Camelot was doing them. Beyond the Beyond is another one that Camelot did. He did another one that some people don't know is the original Hot Shots Golf on the PlayStation.
Oh.
He did that music because it was also made by Camelot.
I used to play Hot.
Yeah, just the first one, not the second one and onward.
The good one.
The good one.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's not much music in that game. It's when you're playing golf, it's silent.
Right.
Anyways, so yeah, Sakuraba, amazing composer. Interestingly, I've said how prolific he is before in the 80s and 90s. Well, when he started in the 80s, on through like the 2000s, he was not only doing video game soundtracks, he also did film soundtracks, anime soundtracks, his own solo work as a prog musician, which is already fussy music to be doing. And he was averaging about, just in the video game field, about 3 video games per year at this point. Except for this year, 1998, one game came out with a Sakuraba soundtrack, and that was Star Ocean: The Second Story. I think it's because of maternity or paternity leave or something like that, because I know he had a young child when he did the Baten Kaitos soundtracks, which would have been 5 or 6 years after this, because his kid sings on one of the songs.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking...
You've said that before.
Yeah. I'm thinking this might actually be maybe his kid was being born at this point. Anyway, but yeah, but I like to take it as thinking that he just needed that much energy to come up with this soundtrack because it's so good. It actually kind of is a standout, even among his already standout work, because everything just has this grandness to it in this game. You go into a town, and it's like that fluty, like that epic fluty sound, and just all this orchestration building up around it. The battle music is especially frenetic. Just got bass going all over the place. It starts with like that, like that really fast like bass line and stuff, which is really great. And yeah, it's just like, again, it's one of those things where it's so much like his other soundtracks that, again, it kind of stands out and then kind of doesn't. Like, Star Ocean second story music if you've heard it versus the other Star Oceans. But if you, try to pick it out of a lineup, somebody would be like, oh, that's Golden Sun. So, again, there's not a whole lot to say about what stands out about it, except that, it's a big, Wagnerian, masterpiece of a thing. But he was, again, doing like 3 of those a year.
Yeah.
And they're all over the video game field. So this is just kind of another one of those. It is my favorite of his, though, actually, because I really, really love Star Ocean second story music. There you go.
Great.
Let's go ahead and move into our final thoughts.
It's good.
And Russ wants to start.
I mean, I love this. I love this game. This game is great. I've played it many times. It has the replayability because it has 2 protagonists. I mean, it's basically the same game, but you play from 2 protagonist perspectives, and then you can get all kinds of party combinations. And then the personal actions, all of that makes it replayable because you can have different relationships with different characters based on the private actions you can do. And there's like 90-something endings. There's like so many different endings with combinations of characters that are friends. And battle system is great. Item crafting is good. Overall, just a really, really excellent game.
I'm waiting for the score because I love your new scoring system.
Yeah, I give it 5 out of 5 pink bunnies with a heart of gold.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I do not have the same depth of experience with the game, but I certainly, God, I still remember sitting in my chair in rural Texas and, playing through this with, on my small TV with both my feet on either side of it. Just,
In the position that we all know.
Yeah,
the gaming
exactly.
position.
The one you can't do as much nowadays, but it's like back then was, just kind of...
You got to take some yoga classes to do it now.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I very much enjoyed being like immersed in this game, and even nowadays, it's like when I watch gameplay of it, or I actually did start a game of it somewhat recently on the original, right before the remake came out, and that kind of threw me. But yeah, it's so fun, and it's like so great to come back to, and I just love a game that has that much care taken into a branching story. It's not like a saga game where characters don't have as much development or anything like that. It's more about relationships than, here's an interesting character and like what they can do. And yeah, I would like to eventually, beat this game and maybe have Opera in my party and, stuff like that. I'd like to see how that develops.
She's crazy.
Yeah.
She's great. She's crazy.
But, I still enjoy that. And, I like being besties with Celine and stuff. Celine doesn't have an alternate other character that you can get.
Celine does not. Celine is the character. In fact, with the party that I got, it is a long time before anybody except Celine joins you.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
It's like, I think Ashton's your next available.
Ashton's the next, so if you don't get him...
Then you gotta wait a while.
And then if you don't get Precis, if you don't go to Linga early and get Precis, then you don't have people. You don't have a 4th even party member for a long
crazy.
time.
Well, I think you need to just beat the game as Claude and Reyna.
Could do it.
One of these days, yeah.
But no, I was just gonna say it's
That's the speed run.
it's a fantastic game. I'd say I'd give it a 8 out of 10. No, just kidding.
I just got it.
Russ was tickled pink.
I love it.
So I try to hold A+ rankings for games that are in my top 10 at least, if not top 5. Because I think they're significant and they, I really want them to stand out. This is probably the first time I'm going to give an A+ ranking to a game that is not in my top 10, and it's making me wonder if I need to rethink my top 10 because there are no flaws with this game.
There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it's
I think that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a top 10. There's nothing that it doesn't do well.
My general approach to scoring these games is all games start as an A+, and then you take away points for things you don't like.
That sounds like something you should talk to a therapist about. I mean, I get it.
That's just my approach. Like, I can't stand this part of the game or that part of the game. So now it's an A-. Oh, and it's got this really bad mechanic they keep forcing on you, so it's a B. This is an A+ game. This game is perfect for what it's doing. Like, it is... It understood the assignment. It nails it. It's a great experience. especially this newest version that came out.
The newest version is very pretty.
Yeah, the
It's
newest version
gorgeous.
it's pretty, and they added
So much
many
quality of life.
Yeah. And the optional bosses, I've fought some of them, and they're quite fun. If you know about this game and you like the Ethereal Queen, and you like Gabriel Celeste, the big bonus bosses, like post-game bosses, there's like a dozen of them or more now in this one.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, Sequel Palooza is rolling along.
We are on Sequel Palooza.
We are.
Yeah.
We are playing the second game in a series of which we have already played the first. And next time we will continue Sequel Palooza
Great Greed 2.
with...
I wish. Oh my
Me
god.
too.
Do you know there is a tiny part of my soul?
Russ and I are too in sync.
We really are at this point. Every Nintendo Direct, there's this tiny part inside of
That
me
hopes for a Great Greed remaster.
that hope. Yes, I want to see that Great Greed remaster where they lean. I don't know. I've said this before. Where they lean into the food thing, and they're not literally food, but all the design is based on the food. Like Cupcake is wearing a cupcake dress.
Russ and I are slowly becoming drift compatible. Next time, though, is not Great Greed 2, unfortunately, until Russ and I make that game, I guess.
Yeah.
But instead, Suikoden 2.
Oh, I love sweets.
There you go.
I love Cupcake.
I like Suikoden.
Yeah. It's
So-
for everybody.
Yeah, it's a little something for everybody. We will see you guys then.
Bye forever.
Russ keeps saying that, and it's making me nervous. What does he know that I don't?
Home on the RNG is a presentation of Mad Centaur Productions. You can find Jeff on YouTube at youtube.com/Centaur Productions or on Twitter at Jeff Centaur. You can find Russ on Twitter at RussMac25. You can find Chris on Twitch at twitch.tv/LiarExaggerate or on Twitter at EnrichFlavor. Thank you for listening, and remember to save your game before powering off this podcast.
I got cold again.
Russ is, again, wrapped in a blanket in 90-degree Texas weather.
I mean, it's not 90 degrees in this house.
Yeah, but you're right next to the window. It is 90 degrees like a foot from you.
But it's not 90 degrees on me.
The sun's just looking in angrily through the window.
I told you.
It's the Super Mario Brothers 3 sun just staring in.
I went to a pool party last weekend in 100+ degree weather.
You're still cold.
And when I got out of the pool, I was cold. I had to wrap myself in my towel. Yeah.